Welcome. Today we begin with a reminder. Anything truly worth having comes at the cost of illusion. This isn't cynicism or bitterness. There's a love here, but not the kind that flatters or soothes. It's a love that burns away what's false so the truth can finally breathe. From the outside, it may look severe, but for those who stay, its tenderness is unmistakable. This journey isn't about entertainment or comfort. It's for those who have started to see the price of self-deception. Every insight here is meant to expose, not embellish. There are no techniques to master, no paths to follow, just an invitation to pause, observe, and taste the possibility of living differently. This book is a mirror. Whether you choose to look or turn away is your freedom. But remember, what you avoid today quietly becomes your master tomorrow. Most human suffering doesn't come from lack of information or opportunity, but from our stubborn loyalty to lies, those we inherit, those we tell ourselves, and those we decorate in the name of culture, ambition, or even virtue. What happens when you stop negotiating with these lies? What remains when all that is false is no longer allowed to hide behind social justification or emotional excuse? Peace isn't found in hopping or waiting. It comes from seeing things as they are and dropping what doesn't serve that seeing. There are no methods here, no beliefs required, just a bare, honest look at the workings of the mind and the mechanisms of self-deception. The clarity pointed to isn't a product of imagination or tradition. It arises when you're willing to observe honestly, without filters, without defense, without escape. The topics are wide-ranging: fear, ambition, love, loneliness, desire, self-worth. But the movement is singular, a movement toward clear seeing. Not thinking, not hopping, not reacting, just seeing. And once you really see, change no longer feels like an effort. It becomes inevitable. Some insights may feel unsettling. That's because the inner house we live in is built out of avoidance of pain, uncertainty, and inquiry. What's offered here isn't comfort, but the courage to face discomfort for the sake of something real. If you dare to look honestly, even once, you may find that freedom was never as far as it seemed. The journey is about seeing, not about fixing, not about hopping for a better tomorrow, but about meeting what is right now with open eyes. Reducing dependencies and finding your authentic self is the key to living fearlessly. When you blindly accept what the world says about you, you hand it power. You make the world your judge and your master. We lack direct vision of ourselves, so we rely on others. The moment we do that, we become enslaved. Our sense of existence now depends on them. Where there is dependence, there must be fear. If you want to live without fear, investigate your dependencies. Ask, where have I outsourced my sense of worth? Cooperation is beautiful, but existential dependence is bondage. Why do people show off? The exhibitionist mind seeks validation through others' approval, turning life into a constant display of possessions and relationships. The need to show off betrays a deeper insecurity, a life lived for external applause, never for inner strength or freedom. We display our cars, houses, lovers, even our Barbies. It's a marketplace of validation. The exhibitionist mind has lost the capacity to look directly at itself. Its self-worth hangs on what others say. This is a terrible slavery, running breathless after the approval of strangers. Freedom is far more joyous than borrowed applause. You really are shown not by what you claim, but by what you pursue, what occupies your mind, and what you commit to. If you want to discover who you are, don't start with philosophical questions. Start with facts. See where your time goes, what fills your thoughts, what work earns your money, where that money is spent, what your heart longs for, what you avoid, what you fear to lose. You are not your declared values, you are your lived patterns. The honest self-observer begins to see, I am not what I thought I was. This seeing is painful, but it's the beginning of freedom. Knowing yourself doesn't mean building a better image. It means watching the false one crumble. Self-love is not about feeling good, but about being ruthlessly true to oneself. Self-awareness is self-love. Self-indulgence is self-deception. Don't rush to change yourself. First, be silent and watch. Let the truth emerge, raw and unfiltered. To know yourself is not to create a self, but to become aware of how much of you is borrowed, automatic, and false. Fierce awareness and relentless honesty are the real joys of self-awareness. Clarity is your highest possibility. Nothing, not your past, suffering, or beliefs, should be allowed to take it from you. We live in haste, absorbed in distractions, rarely pausing to observe the one thing that truly matters, our own life. Ask yourself, what are you doing and why? Why this relentless noise, restlessness, and boredom? Why do you remain confused, insecure, hungry for company? These aren't abstract riddles. They're urgent questions bleeding through your everyday life. Observe your life not through society's lens, but with naked awareness. That is your deepest responsibility. Man lives like a machine, programmed, predictable, and unconscious. What makes it worse is the illusion that we are choosing freely. See how deeply scripted your actions are, how borrowed your motivations. At one point you were a child, then a teenager, then a professional, then a parent. Different labels, different costumes, but the same old script running underneath. Are you really going ahead or just running in circles, enacting the same script on different stages? Are you awake or just sleepwalking through life? There's great fun in catching your own inner mischief red-handed. Catch yourself when your mind wanders into fantasy, when fear creeps in or insecurity whispers. The moment you spot a state of mind, it begins to lose its hold. All these hidden tendencies thrive only in darkness. Shine the light of attention on them and they shrivel away. The instant you see them clearly, their power starts dissolving. To catch something is to observe it. To observe is to expose it. And exposure is the beginning of freedom. Or do we call it theft only when you steal from someone else? Is it not theft when you rob yourself of your own highest possibility? If you deny yourself what you truly deserve to become, is that not an even deeper theft? Stealing from others is punished by society. Stealing from yourself is punished by life itself. Such is the law. The worst self-harm is not a single act. It's a life lived unconsciously. It's a mind that refuses to inquire. To live as the conditioned ego is the most violent thing you can do to yourself. Choice made in ignorance is not a choice, it's just an accident waiting to happen. Nobody knowingly chooses self-harm. Whatever we do it hoping for relief, happiness, or escape. Even when we hurt ourselves, we think we're helping ourselves, but it's just ignorance in disguise. Self-harm is not just about pills or blades. It's when you walk into a toxic relationship thinking it's your soulmate, or stay in a dead job because fear tells you it's security. The tragedy, you'll call it normal. You'll call it success, you'll even call it love. Ego plays the victim to remain what it is. It prefers sympathy over solution, control over clarity. When something good happens, it says, I did it. When something bad happens, it says, it happened to me. Playing the victim is its favorite pastime. The blame game is constant. This is how the ego survives, by never looking at itself, by deflecting responsibility. It would rather be pitied than transformed. It would rather be right than free. Hurt is the opportunity to see where you are still deluded and dependent. The fellow who gets hurt easily is already a problem to himself, but the one who pampers and mollycoddles him is worse. We have built a culture that rewards fragility. We confuse indulgence with love. Most of the time, all we are doing is strengthening their bondage. There must be a limit to glorifying feebleness as just being human. Spirituality is hard, unrelenting inquiry. It is not a belief system. Truth does not ask for belief, it asks for burning inquiry. All belief is in service of the ego. Real spirituality begins only when belief ends. Watch out for the word belief. It is not harmless, it is a trap. Beliefs are not truth, they are psychological bandages. They protect the fragile, insecure self. They secure the ego's reign. They keep you asleep comfortably and eternally. We're your most important asset. Invest wisely and keep checking the returns. Sometimes you must spend on the car, fuel, servicing, alignment. These are essentials, but endlessly decorating the car with trinkets while neglecting the engine is foolish. We squander what truly matters, time, energy, attention, to acquire shiny nonsense. Are you growing or just glowing? Ask yourself, are you investing in movement or in decoration? Nobody lacks strength. We merely agree to act weak for the sake of certain comforts. Strength lies in seeing that selling your spine is always a bad bargain. We argue for our weaknesses, decorate them, rationalize them, polish them into virtues. The weak self deserves a certain disdain. Will we ever grow a spine if we remain content with crawling? Genuine self-improvement begins when you stop lying to yourself, see your condition as it is, and let change arise on its own. Self-improvement and self-deception cannot coexist. If you can't admit you're in a mess, how can anything improve? Real transformation is not aimed at some pre-decided result. It is the spontaneous, unpredictable flowering of self-awareness. If your self-worth depends on anything, life will play with it like a puppet on strings. True freedom begins when you stop measuring yourself by external yardsticks. Let your situations, circumstances, possessions, and particular destination in life not become significant enough to define you. Let your self-worth not be dictated by anything external. The only true freedom is to let go of the very concept of self-worth altogether. When asked how to manage time, ask how to manage yourself. Your time profile is nothing but a mirror showing you your mental profile, your actual values and priorities. Look closely at how you use your hours and minutes. They reveal what you truly hold dear. If you truly grasp the fragility of time, you'll stop asking how to squeeze more appointments into your calendar. You'll ask how to refine yourself, because when you manage yourself, time follows. Fear turmoil upsets, treat them as well-wishers. They come to whisper that something in life needs attention. Greet them honestly and they vanish like clouds, revealing a sky that was always sunny and clear. If you're not feeling right, don't suppress it. Your nature's deep security and effortless rest. Anything short of complete inner stillness is a symptom. Don't ignore it. Your doubts serve a purpose. The mind's agitation is never random. Are you afraid that something bad may happen? Fear is already the worst that can happen. Fear doesn't come from an event, it comes from your assumed helplessness before the event. Is it the event itself that terrifies you, or your own fragility in front of it? If you knew yourself to be invulnerable, if you clearly saw that what is essential in you cannot be touched, would fear still have any ground to stand on? Test fear itself. Let the worst come, what really happens. You'll see that even amidst collapse, you remain. Listen to your fears. They aren't telling you where the external threat is. They are telling you where the internal work is pending. Fear is not your enemy. It isn't random or senseless. It comes bearing a message. Something in you is still weak, still unexamined, still falsely built. Fear exposes where you're not rooted in truth. It points to the cracks you've ignored, the borrowed structures you live by. Don't dismiss fear, use it. Let it show you what needs attention, what's false, what's fragile, what must be seen and dropped. Fearlessness is not the absence of fear. Fearlessness is freedom to not be carried away by fear, to do the right thing in spite of fear. Often the false path feels comfortable, but truth is a challenge. The moment you move toward it, resistance within begins to rise. To act rightly in spite of these inner tremors, that is strength, that is integrity. Don't drop the difficult just because it scares you. Comfort is no proof of rightness. More often than not, comfort is the mask of cowardice. Real courage is found in battling yourself and knowing when to avoid unnecessary conflicts. Choose only the right battles. And once you've chosen rightly, there can be no surrender. You don't quit a battle that matters. Most problems aren't worth your energy. They are distractions in disguise. Let them pass even if others call you weak or passive. But when the right battle presents itself, one that touches your core and demands inner transformation, there must be no retreat. More dependent you are, the more afraid you will be. The key to fearlessness is not confidence, it is freedom. Confidence doesn't cure fear, it only masks it. Like a pill, it offers temporary relief but leaves the disease untouched. Fear remains, silently breeding underneath. Don't medicate fear, understand it. All fear arises from dependency. Don't use shallow confidence to fight deep fear. Use fear to spot dependency. That is the beginning of the end of ignorance and therefore of fear. A real oppressor is not the other. You are oppressed by your own inner fear, greed, insecurity, and ignorance. Fear within doesn't scream, it seduces, it smiles, it pretends to care. It tells you to be safe, to play along, to not make trouble. Name it, expose it, refuse to bow before it. The real revolution does not begin on the street, it begins in the mirror. True action doesn't flow from ambition, it flows from inner clarity. It doesn't need maps, just the next right step. We coast on convenience, rest in excuses, and wrap ourselves in the illusion that we're already trying hard enough. But the truth is sobering, we don't challenge ourselves enough. Even in confusion and fear, you already have enough to take the next step. You are not helpless, you're just outsourcing your responsibility. You're looking for entertainment because you are deeply bored. Find out what is worthy of devoting your entire life to. What we normally call enjoyment is just a kind of entertainment or titillation. If one is chasing entertainment, if one craves a lot of excitement, that itself is the punishment. Why does one desperately need unending fun? Why is life devoid of the simple thrill of right living? Isn't there elation in overcoming fear? Isn't love ecstatic? If yes, then why do most people need an extra dose of fun? World is really owned by the innocent man who finds a playground and a dancer floor everywhere. The world is ruled by the joyful, secure insider who is at home everywhere. The rest are all fooling themselves and missing the game. When the world comes to you with all its bullying faces, simply say, "Eh," and go back to sleep. There is really no pleasure deeper than not getting affected when the clowns are all conspiring to unsettle you. This deepest pleasure is called joy. First, your desires open the gate to your exploitation. Only then others enter and exploit you. Blaming others won't help, close the door. A needy customer is a seller's dream. When the buyer is impatient, the seller knows he can promise anything, deliver nothing, and still succeed. The world exploits only the unexamined. Observe your own hunger and the vultures lose power. If you choose a goal not worthy enough, it makes no sense to stay concentrated on it. If the goal doesn't grip you, the world will. Distractions don't win, your goal simply fails to hold you. Let the goal be so compelling that it shields you. You don't protect it, it protects you. A worthy goal absorbs you. In its presence, distractions lose meaning. Complete within, you do not repeatedly turn to the world begging for companionship. Complete within, you do not even have anything against the world. Complete within, you are free to engage in energetic action, vigorous doing, without having a particular fruit in mind. When you start from a point of completeness, all your actions and ambitions carry the flavor of completeness. Now go play fearlessly. All your successes are meaningless if your goal itself is unwise. Success does not lie in doing any random thing just to fulfill a blind desire, or worse, to please a crowd. Victory lies first in choosing the right battle to fight. If you fight the wrong battle, isn't victory worse than defeat? Only two types of actions are worth it. One that arises from your inner fulfillment, and two that which takes you toward fulfillment. Life deserves purpose and passion. True freedom is found in meaningful work, not empty idleness. The surest way to squander time is by engaging oneself emotionally in some little thing, thinking continuously and remaining wastefully embroiled. Time is to be spent in pursuit of the highest that life can give you. In the real sense, only such a liberative pursuit can be called work. Don't accord the status of beyond to anything. Everything is dispensable. Nothing here is permanent or indestructible. Don't raise futile hopes. Live in good-humored contempt toward the world and obviously yourself. Treat it all as a bit of a joke. The wise person does not let impermanencies get too big on him. She knows the game of situations. Today this thing, tomorrow something else. The joy of overcoming yourself is much deeper and more authentic than the fleeting pleasure of indulging yourself. Joy is not ordinary pleasure, not ordinary happiness. It takes you higher. But it is a very demanding and exacting pleasure. The right pleasure is difficult, hence we opt for lowly pleasures. If you think you are doing something right in life, and yet there isn't a difficult joy, then you are mistaken. There is no wave in the mind that arises on its own. The mind is dependent on the world, and the world is dependent on the mind. What is the goal that the mind chases, that which it is conditioned to chase? What is the mind? A random compilation of stuff that the ego has mistakenly accumulated. Isn't sexual obsession a symptom of inner emptiness? When you know who you are, sex ceases to be an unconscious, uncontrollable mental urge. Sex is simple and biological. Obsession is complex and mental. Our obsession with sex is one of the fallouts of living without self-awareness. Fall in love with a purpose, and the nonsense will vanish like mist in sunlight. Addictions arise from an inner void, and the only way to break free is to fill that space with something higher, something truly meaningful. Addictions exist because, at some level, you have nothing better. Bring something into your life that is bigger than your cravings. Set your mind on something high, something beautiful, and you'll find you no longer have time for the petty. Man should not be at the center of the woman's world, and vice versa. Such a thing belongs to the jungle. Humanness begins only when you leave the jungle behind. If you find that a person has become too important to you, pause and ask, is this importance arising from love or just dependence? Freedom for the woman from her body is freedom from the man, and freedom for the woman inevitably means freedom for the man as well. You must remember that the goal of life is not happiness, but freedom from the tension to obtain happiness. The happiness you know has two fatal flaws. First, it is merely a product of conditioning. Second, it exists only in contrast to sadness. Joy is something entirely different. Joy is reasonless. Joy is uncaused. Joy is not a reaction. It is your very nature waiting to be uncovered. Man's hunger is not in the stomach. It resides in the mind. That hunger, blind, restless, insatiable, has destroyed everything it could touch. Climate change is only the latest, the most devastating, and perhaps the final symptom of this inner disease. Right life and right coexistence with the earth go together. When you live consciously, you live cleanly. Your carbon footprint falls not by design but by default. It's not the desire or attachment that is wrong, but the object you have chosen to be attached to. Let your longing be for the truth, and it will carry you to liberation. Desire, attraction, ambition, drive, these are not sins. They are sacred faculties of the mind, but they become dangerous when misdirected, when wasted on what is petty, fleeting, false. Be desirous, be fiercely attached, but only to the highest.